Welcome back and thank you for keeping it NTV. You're still watching NTV Weekend Edition. Now, microfinance organizations like cooperatives and SACCOs sector have been urged to leverage digital technologies in driving growth and sustainability while prioritizing environmental, social and governance factors. Now, according to Goretti Masadde, the CEO of Uganda Institute of Banking and Financial Services, these organizations play a critical role fostering financial inclusion and community development. Tonight, we want to look at how impactful capacity growth in these entities can be. And to help us appreciate this, we do have the Uganda Development Forum Executive Director, Edward Katende. Good evening to you, Edward, and thank you for joining us.
Good evening, and thank you for hosting me.
Okay, now let us get straight into it. Tell us how important cooperatives have been to the Uganda's financial sector.
Of course, if one professor, Professor Suruma, once said that if you do not own and control capital, you cannot develop. As a developing country with majority of our people living in the subsistence economy and very poor indeed, how can we own capital? So we can't own a bank, which is very big. The capital requirements are enormous. But that's now where cooperatives come in, where people come together, pool resources, and first of all save. And when they save, they build the capital base, which is then used to lend to each member. So these SACCOs have been operating in a space where the big banks, the high street banks, could not reach. And therefore there was an element of financial exclusion. So then the people decided to solve this problem on their own, save, and then with a plan to grow their capital base. And we have seen some SACCOs growing even bigger than banks. We have a SACCO like Wazalendo, which is for the army. It's really massive, yes, and bigger than many banks. But this is because they have very many members. But we are seeing different SACCOs in the parish development model, which is government funded social economic transformation initiative. We have 10,594 SACCOs established in each and every parish for purposes of lending money to people who have for a very long time been excluded. So ideally, the SACCOs have been a vehicle for reaching the excluded.
Okay. All right. And so, like you have stated it clearly, these are significant in mobilizing finances and bringing people together to sort of solve a common goal. But again, these are people that come together without any knowledge of accounting, of bookkeeping, and all of this. And this is what speaks to what the CEO did mention, that the importance of capacity building. And tell us how this is going to help, especially in the training of the accountants.
Certainly, the issue of capacity is a huge issue, not just in SACCOs, but in cooperative generally, but also in other business settings. So we have issues of governance that you'll find that a number of these organizations may not have sufficient records. They may not have even the capacity to manage, like the management is a challenge. The appreciation of the business in which they are. It could be I know you're talking about SACCOs, but if you talk about cooperatives in general, you may find that the decisions that the leaders in that particular cooperative are making are not business decisions, but probably are bound by emotions without any calculation. So it's not, you don't only need accountants, probably you need business managers. The issues of access to markets, which probably the cooperative managers may not solve. The issues of technology, that how do I acquire technology? What decisions, what informs our decision to acquire new technologies? We are seeing, for example, in the cooperatives we are looking at, the cooperative receiving money invests in a very big plant. then install the plant. And a week later, they say they don't have working capital. But they have got a lot of their capital tied up in a long-term asset, which asset they would have acquired, say, through a lease, an operating lease, and which, for example, you have invested 10 billion to buy the plant. But you could lease the same plant for 500 million. You use the 9.5 million to do the trading, because trading is your main business. So this is now where external support is needed. A support that starts with the diagnosing the problem. Is the problem governance? Is it the management? Is it the lack of financing? Is it because there is no collateral? Whatever the issues are, you fix those issues. And then you need a partner who can handhold that business and move with it. So for a country like Uganda, that becomes a very big challenge. And we hope that within our ecosystem, we can create different partnerships. Like Uganda Development Forum, we are looking at partnerships involving existing incubators and business support centers, like the Agribusiness Development Center, the Stanbic Incubator, NSSF High Innovator. Bring them together to create an ecosystem where we can co-share the different expertise. For example, you could have a shared CFO services. So instead of one cooperative paying expensive CPA to manage its business, we can house that CPA somewhere, and he or she serves about 5 different cooperatives as a CFO. You could do the same on marketing, because sometimes marketing executives can be very expensive. So you build capacity of the cooperative by sharing expertise that the cooperative doesn't have, allowing the co-op to deal with the main business for which it was established. Yes.
Okay, so now the microfinance organizations have been urged to leverage digital technologies in driving growth and sustainability, but while also prioritizing the ESG factors. So how do you see, the cooperatives and SACCOs balancing their focus on the ESG factors as well as their financial goals?
Well, of course, starting with technology. Technology is so important in this day and age that even the countries that brought banking to us, the brick and mortar is no longer there. They have all gone digital. Digitalization helps us to address issues of efficiency, issues of transparency, accountability. It's very easy to track. If you have somebody has stolen our money from our SACCO or cooperative, we would be able, using digital technologies, to track and see who actually received that money and when. As opposed to those days when you had a book, somebody who steals the money can steal the book and you lose all the evidence. So digitization is important. Then also the issue of convenience, that you can transact from anywhere. I'll give an example of what is happening in the PDM SACCOs, in the PDM where they have embraced technology as an example. And they have created mobile wallets. Mobile wallets like Wendy and the FlexPay of Stanbic, Wendy for Postbank. Farmers are now able anywhere in Uganda, in any village, to transact. The chairman can initiate a payment, even if he's on his farm. The treasurer will approve, and me, the farmer who has borrowed, can receive my money. So it is in a way improving efficiency in the sector, and over time we will ensure that financial inclusion, these people who had been excluded for a long time, would now be included. And of course, finally, as I talk about digitization, it also helps with profiling, getting your credit profile. If I have borrowed from your SACCO and we are all connected, another SACCO would tell that I have a loan. And then I don't get into trouble of overborrowing, which is a very big challenge in the SACCO sector, multiple borrowing.
Okay. As we wrap up this conversation, I think we'll have like a two-in-one, and there has been a general call for the revival of cooperatives in the country, and the explosion of SACCOs shows that the country is ready for a vibrant cooperative sector. How can this be built and sustained?
I think the climate is ripe now. Yes, we have tested the SACCOs in the financial space, but now in production and marketing, we need to revive the cooperatives that can mobilize farmers to produce efficiently and profitably. Then can link those farmers' produce to the market. And of course, across the board for us, like at Uganda Development Forum, we are working with different partners to ensure that the cooperative movement is revitalized.
Okay.
Of course, you're looking at both the policy issues which affect the cooperatives, but also we want to look at the internal factors that limit the capacity of these cooperatives to grow.
Okay.
Of course, it all starts with a conversation, and that conversation is currently ongoing, and we are seeing very good traction where you have the older generation of professors and people who saw cooperatives at their peak coming to share the same platform with the younger generation probably that has not seen it, but they are told how great it is. And then we fuse that experience to ensure that within the next 2-3 years, Ugandans will be able to mobilize themselves to form their own cooperative bank, which I heard people are working on, but also strengthen the old cooperative unions that had died. Okay,
thank you, Edward. Your closing remarks in a second.
Yeah, my closing remarks is that during the course of this week, Uganda Development Forum is meeting. All of our members from the banks, from government, from civil society, private sector are meeting to continue the discussion at a very higher level about how do we revitalize cooperatives in Uganda, and also how do we improve productivity of labor of our farms, so with a view of increasing household income, which is the main objective of our country.
All right. Thank you, Edward Katende, for those insights. He's the Executive Director of the Uganda Development Forum. And with that, we take a break and return with news from the world of sport.